Now, you might have been guilty of this at least once. Leaving tape in hair extensions for longer than they should have been left. And look, the reasoning is completely understandable. They still look decent, they feel alright, and life just gets busy. The maintenance appointment gets pushed back a week, and then another week, and then another week. And before you know it, you're well past where you should have been. Now things are starting to feel a little bit suspicious at the root. So what's actually happening when that occurs? And does it really matter? The short answer is yes, it does matter. So let's get into the why. The reason everything starts to go wrong comes down to one simple thing. Your hair keeps growing, but the tapes don't move with it. It sounds obvious, but it's worth thinking through properly. Tape-ins are designed to sit close to the scalp. That's where your hair is strongest and where the weight is best supported and where the tape tab is most stable. The whole system is built around that position, and as your hair grows, the tapes move further and further down the hair shaft. And as they do, everything that made them work properly starts to break down. So let's walk through what actually happens. First, tangling at the root. As the bond moves away from the scalp, there's more loose hair sitting above it, and that hair starts to wrap around the tape, especially if brushing hasn't been consistent or there's a product build-up. What starts as slight resistance turns into knots, and if it's left, those knots can become tight mats that are much harder to deal with. Second, increased tension on the natural hair. When the tapes are in the right position, the weight is supported close to the root, but as they drop, that weight is pulled further down the hair, which puts strain on a longer section of hair. At first it's subtle, you start to notice it, a pulling sensation, a sensitivity in certain areas. Neither of those things should be ignored. Third, the adhesive itself starts to weaken. Over time, natural oils, product buildup and wear affects the adhesive, so the tapes don't feel as secure as they should. They begin to move more, and once that movement starts, everything else on the list happens faster. Fourth, visibility increases. As the tapes move down, they become more exposed. They start catching the light, they show more when you tie your hair up or style it, so something that was invisible starts to become very noticeable. And finally, the removal becomes harder. This is the part that people don't always think about. Extensions removed on time from well-maintained hair are relatively straightforward. Extensions left too long with tangling and movement take significantly more time to remove, more care, more effort, and in some cases a higher risk of damage to your natural hair. So the time you thought you saved by skipping an appointment usually gets paid back later with interest. So how do you know if you've pushed it too far? There are a few clear signs. The tapes feel loose or shift when you touch them. You notice tangling at the root. The extensions don't sit flat anymore, or styling feels harder than it used to, or there's a pulling sensation in some areas. Any one of those things is worth paying attention to. All of them together means it needs sorting. And what happens when you ignore it? It doesn't stay the same, it gets worse. Tangling becomes matting, matting under tension leads to breakage, the extension hair that could have been reused deteriorates sooner, and your natural hair has been under stress for longer than it needed to be. So most of this is completely avoidable. It's not bad luck, it's not the method failing, it's simply timing. So what should you actively be doing? Maintenance every 4 to 8 weeks, not stretching it even if they still look great. Careful brushing at the root, working from the ends upwards, a proper aftercare routine to keep build-up under control, and if you notice any warning signs, get it checked out early. If your extensions are already overdue, they need removing properly, cleaned and refitted. Not worked around, not styled over, not left in place, hoping they'll be fine. That's the reset. So to wrap this up, leaving tape-ins for too long sets off a whole chain reaction. Movement leads to tangling, and that tangling is going to lead to tension, and the tension combined with delayed removal leads to a harder process and a higher risk of damaging your natural hair. So keep maintenance on schedule, brush through properly and deal with any issues early. Do that and tape-ins stay easy to manage. Leave it too long and they become a problem fairly quickly. So if you're considering tape-in hair extensions, you can explore the full Roots tape-in hair range and find answers to more commonly asked questions in the links below.